This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hopefully everybody can hear me. My name is Vinny Cordone, and welcome to this brief webinar today that will outline some of our enhancements to our Acumatica EDI integration. We will go over a few things today that hopefully you guys can all relay to either prospects or if they're your own needs in terms of an EDI solution. We'll go over the B2B Gateway Bundle, the 830 planning schedule, PO acknowledgement, and some other checkboxes that will streamline any kind of queries that may be set up with an Acumatica solution. So I'll just give you a brief overview of our Acumatica solution. And before I go further, I will take questions at the end. If anybody has any, you can either outline them in the chat or, after I'm done presenting. So we've worked with Acumatica since 2014. We are R2 2019 R2 certified. Pretty proud to say we were the first EDI provider to be 2019 R2 certified. And our integration is 100% built and maintained by our own staff. We have never outsourced any of our mapping to this day. So, that enables us to provide an additional level of customization that, we believe the competition may not. And that customization also will help the, a client grow as they continue to, add trading partners and their EDI needs evolve. We're going to be a gold sponsor next week at the Acumatica Summit. Feel free to visit us at booth 47. We will have a couple of our business development representatives there, Mark Marone and Melissa Folk, and myself, I will be there as well. So be sure to stop by at the booth. And like I mentioned, we've been partners since 2014. So, EDI, it's not an exciting subject to kind of cover, but basically it has a lot of different avenues that it can go down depending on the client's needs, whether they trade with retailers, brick and mortar, or they're e-commerce based, whether they have a third-party logistics center where they, have to get orders, sent to the warehouses. We can work with all parties across all documents. I mean, this simple graph here really simplifies the complexity of what can be involved in an integration. I mean, there are dozens, hundreds of documents from an EDI standpoint based on the industry that could be exchanged. And, we work with pretty much all documents. So it's not an easy thing to maintain in-house. That's why a lot of our clients do come to us. It's just we've done this for 20 years, since 1999, and we have a lot of experience on the various types of integrations. So let's get into the enhancements that we've recently launched in the last couple of weeks. I'll start with the B2B Gateway Bundle. The bundle is built into the Acumatica dashboard, and the purpose of it is so the Acumatica user does not have to log into a different browser to access the B2B Gateway client portal. Any client that signs with us, they get access to this client portal, and it has a load of information that can help a client on their day-to-day activities to trace anything from transactions to exceptions to communicating with their project manager during a setup or during production issues. So they would simply install this, and the project manager that would be assigned to the client would help a client do this. But essentially, it's an app within the dashboard that would prompt you to install this. So a couple of things that would be highlighted within the bundle is the transaction report. This basically a client within the Acumatica dashboard could log in and filter and sort and review any transactions to and from the Acumatica dashboard that are transmitted via EDI. So whether they're invoices, ASNs, documents to the 3PL, they would all be listed in the transaction report. So being able to view this within Acumatica without having to log out should hopefully make reconciling that all EDI transactions have been sent and received much easier than pulling reports and then trying to cross-check. Another thing that we would highlight within this bundle is exception reporting. This is a critical step for a number of reasons. Number one, it will help avoid any costly chargebacks by sending bad data or incomplete data. Number two, it would notify a client if something is held up so they can address it rather quickly. We put in validation based on trading partner specifications. So that's where this exception report comes in. And being able to view this within the Acumatica portal also allows a client to do everything within the dashboard rather than having to log out and then go trace it down within the B2B Gateway portal and then go back to Acumatica and trace the documents. So hopefully this helps streamline any kind of error checking before it ends up taking longer than it needs to. And then, as I'm sure we're all familiar, chargebacks can quickly get assessed and pile up. Another thing that within the bundle is the basic client information. You'd have access to your project manager here, contact information, emergency support, whatnot would all be listed here. So clients could easily update their own contact information. If there's a change in personnel that handles the day-to-day, they have the ability to update this here. So basically reducing the number of emails that would have to go around to make these kind of changes. During the setup process, clients could have as little as one trading partner to as many as several dozen, and it could be quite a bear to manage. And while our dedicated support team will guide a client through any kind of setup process, tracking that can be pretty cumbersome. And within our client portal, we have a pretty extensive reporting at the document level per trading partner that will give anybody an update on where a setup specifically stands at any given time. And if there's any tasks that are assigned to, whether it's B2B Gateway, whether it's a trading partner or the client, they could view this here. And this will be helpful viewing it within the Acumatica dashboard, because if somebody, let's say somebody handles the EDI, but they have to report to somebody and they get questioned on where something stands, it's right there for anybody to view. So there's no misunderstanding in terms of a status, and these update in real time. So this is a huge value add in terms of managing projects. The integration records, this would also be within the Acumatica B2B Gateway Bundle. Basically, this is a summary of anything that's been imported or exported out of Acumatica. It's just another level. This reporting would be generated from Acumatica, and it would be listed here for the job history. And you guys, it would enable a client to, again, have another layer of cross-checking and comparing it to our transaction report, comparing it to any kind of with reconciliation within NetSuite, within Acumatica. So a couple other links externally here that are within our client portal that a client would be able to reference here would be the warehouse support site. There's where we have labels, advanced ship notices for clients that may not have a 3PL with a WMS. There's other documents and functionalities on that warehouse support site, but a client would be able to access that directly through this external link. Also, there is the cross-reference table itself where clients can go in, update their products, so that way we can import any sales order into Acumatica with the applicable item number, so there's no import failures. And being able to access this directly through the B2B Gateway Bundle saves, again, having to log into multiple sites, and maintaining these cross-reference tables could be quite a bear. So this is a good one-stop for a client. Also, the support, clients have the ability to open support tickets, review support tickets, track support tickets, emergency contact support through here as well. So basically, the B2B Gateway Bundle enables clients to have a one-stop shop for all their maintenance on the EDI on the EDI front. So I want to move ahead to another enhancement that we put in place as well, the 830. This doesn't apply to all clients. It's a planning forecast. It's pretty heavy in the automobile industry. We see that a lot. Manufacturing. You would have to have the manufacturing edition in order to have this functionality be available. But essentially, we just added this because it was in demand. So what happens with the 830? So we've seen, for example, let's just take Ford. They may send a planning schedule daily, and they could have 100 items on there, and they start with, a list of, we're going to order 400 items on such and such a day, and tomorrow it could change to 432. And on certain days, they may remove items. So managing this outside of the Acumatica dashboard could be pretty difficult. So we've allowed the ability to import this planning schedule and override the previous ones. So that way, you're not manually having to manage these updates. And, I've managed clients where literally, these things come in by the boatload and they become almost borderline unmanageable. So seeing this additional functionality be possible is a time saver on a lot of levels. So we're very proud of this one. This was a decent amount of work to put this in place, and it's something I feel that could be a huge benefit to the right kind of client. The 855 PO acknowledgement. This is another big enhancement to do within Acumatica. Previously, our clients would have to use either our warehouse support site to do this, which means they're doing it outside of Acumatica, or we may auto accept if clients don't necessarily have different statuses on a PO acknowledgement. But depending on the volume of the client, this could get labor intensive as well. So we've added the functionality here to send the PO acknowledgement directly off the sales order. That took a few customizations on the sales order form in order to make this happen. So there is a new, label called the acknowledgement 855 at the top of the sales order header. And as you can see, there's an acknowledgement type, and right below that with a list of different acknowledgement types. And these vary by trading partner as well. So we picked pretty much the most common ones that probably will apply to the majority of our client base. If any need to be added, we could always add them as required by the trading partner. This is also available at the line item level. So clients have the ability to, at the header level, accept or reject or send back a certain status that'll apply to the whole sales order, or they could do it at the line item level and do it by item. So there's a lot of different functionalities here for a client to choose from, so they can return the 855 in an accurate and timely fashion. So how do we differentiate a sales order from an 855? If we use a sales order form, that sales order in the EDI world, and a lot of times can be used as a 940 shipping advice for the 3PL. So we want to make sure that that's not going to be the case here. So what we did was we added a couple of checkboxes. The first one you see is a send 855 checkbox below the highlighted area. What that'll do is in the map, in the code, it will dignify that as send this as an 855, run it through the 855 map, so it's not going to run as a sales order. At that point, it'll go through the maps, and after we pull that, the query will end up checking the second checkbox, the 855 picked up checkbox, so we don't continuously query that 855. And the query will be set up in conjunction with the project manager and the client based on the criteria that the client needs. So if a client needs this sent several times a day, or if they need it sent, whatever frequency a client needs, and it can be set up per trading partners, so we can filter out and not just constantly pull a bunch of data that is overkill. So once we pull that that 855, we check off the checkbox for the 855. That's the end of that transaction. The trading partner gets the 855 with whatever status code they need, and the client has nothing left to do there. So at that point, whether a trading partner ends up modifying the PO or canceling the order or whatever they need to do, that would likely involve an additional transaction after that. A couple of additional checkboxes we've added, particularly this B2B gateway picked up checkbox, that enables us to streamline the queries that I just referenced. So, we could have queries set up for several document types, whether it's the order that needs to get to the warehouse, whether it's the invoice that needs to get to the trading partner. It could be an advanced ship notice. It could be, a multitude of different transaction types. We don't want to just continuously pull data. It makes the whole query inefficient. It makes processing inefficient, and it could get kind of messy for the clients. So by checking off these checkboxes, we streamline the additional queries, and a client will have better visibility towards what was actually queried. They would see that checkbox is checked. They'll know that was queried, and then from there they can go to the transaction report, compare it to make sure that there are no exceptions, to make sure that it went out as expected. If they expected 100 invoices to be transmitted, they could go there, they could confirm that there's no issues. So this is a big upgrade for us because, again, the visibility to a client in terms of how it ties into everything I've shown you so far really streamlines this process for a client. Our general client support, this is something I wanted to highlight on this webinar. I mean, you'll be assigned a dedicated project manager who will also work with a dedicated trading partner liaison, a dedicated programmer. If necessary, the integrations team will assign personnel to the account, and that team will work directly with the client through the entire setup phase for all their trading partners and all their documents. Clients will have direct access to this project manager, their email, their phone number. So that project manager will manage things from start to finish. And if a client adds 10 trading partners on day one and a year later they add another one, they'll get that same team, providing everybody, is still with B2B Gateway, they'll get the exact same team. So as setups move on, as setups are added, as a client matures, the familiarity of having the same team hopefully cuts down on a lot of the back and forth that could definitely hinder a setup. And once clients have set up the trading partners and they're in production for roughly 90 days, we move them over to the production support team, which is ticket-based. And that team, we move that over to that kind of a format because it'll enable just a quicker response time. Having one team dedicated to setups and one team dedicated to production issues, we find has been more efficient. And we put this in place about 6 years ago, and it's worked out well for a lot of our clients. To have one person manage setups and production issues could be a lot to manage. And this has worked out definitely for the better of the client. Just wanted to highlight a couple of clients here over the years that have been success stories, essentially. Taste Rugs has been with us for a few years, and heavy in the e-commerce business, and that was a good integration. I mean, they started small and they've added clients over the years, and really turned out to be a good dropship type of a client. While Wayne Water Systems, this was a big integration. I mean, they had 23 trading partners that they moved over all at the same time, and they were brand new to Acumatica, so there were a lot of moving pieces here, and they were already actively trading with their trading partners. So the risk was very high that if the EDI wasn't set up correctly, it could snowball into them potentially losing their existing relationships. So this was a lot of customization came with this client as well. So this was a huge win in terms of a success story when we set them up. And then Integra Optics, when they signed up, they were under a very, very tight deadline. It was a week, and I definitely don't want to give any impression that setups can be done in a week on a normal basis. I mean, typically there's just too many moving parts, but they had a hard deadline, and our team went above and beyond to make sure that we hit that deadline. And typically, like I said, 1 week deadlines are rather unusual, but if a client comes to us and they're like, I need to get set up in 2-3 weeks or whatever that deadline is, we do our best to try to make that happen. The project manager will put together a project plan, and expectations are set from day one to hopefully try to meet that deadline. The key is that the Acumatica solution is complete. Items are set up, customers are set up, forms are set up. The further ahead an Acumatica client is with that kind of legwork before they sign with us, the better chance we can make any kind of deadline happen. So anyway, that's the bulk of the presentation. We kept it kind of high level for a reason. I just didn't want to end up getting into the weeds, boring everybody. I know that these things can tend to drag out, but I wanted to highlight these functionalities. We're going to be at the Acumatica Summit next week, and we can definitely talk about any of these functionalities in more depth. If you would like a demo of these enhancements or our Acumatica solution in general, our sales team could happily set this up for you and do this on your behalf. We could send you materials that outline this, marketing materials if you have prospects that potentially may be interested in these types of services. And we also have videos as well. So that being said, I want to open it up if anybody has any questions. I'd be glad to try to answer them, or I could go get the answer and get back to you if I may not have it. All right. That being said, it doesn't sound like anybody has any questions. Oh, it looks like we have a chat here. Okay. Oh, sure. No problem, John. Yes, Fred, the customization is available for 2019 R1. This customization will be it's with any version. It just plugs right in. So yes. Shane, will this be available in YouTube? Yeah, we could definitely make that available for you. Yep. And we could also send it directly as well if it's something you'd want to share. So. Anybody have any additional questions? John, so this needs to be installed special. Well, the forms for the 855 or the 830, as long as the 830 they have the manufacturing edition, then it's easily applicable. The 855, they would work with the project manager to just set up the custom fields on the sales order, but there's really nothing special there. The bundle is it's literally a matter of just installing it off of the app section of the B2B of the Acumatica dashboard. So the project manager can work with them in installing that. It's literally just probably not even a 3-minute installation. So. Anybody else have any questions? All right, great. Well, I don't know if any of you are going to be at the summit next week, but if so, again, stop by booth 47. I will be there along with Mark Marone and Melissa Folk, and I'd be glad to talk about this in more detail. And like I said, if anybody wants a demo or marketing materials specified to your request, just feel free to reach out, and we'd be glad to provide them. All right, well, on that note, again, thanks everyone for joining today, and hopefully we'll see you next week. All right, bye everyone.